Hey, so in this episode, I get to talk to Francis Vidal. She's been a member at CrossFit New Hampton for over a year, and she's someone I've gotten to know not only through coaching but also working out side by side with her. I think she's super cool, very intelligent, has a lot of cool things to share. So I hope you enjoy this episode as much as I enjoyed talking with Francis about it. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.
All right, cool. Yeah, so being alone, that sucks.
It does suck. There's a lot of complaints about people being stuck at home with their family. I'm like kind of a little jealous that I'm not annoyed with people. Instead, it's just me and still me.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, I'm grateful to have everybody here.
Yeah, it's I think it's just like you end up envious of whatever you're not doing because you know that whatever it is, you're stuck with just that.
Yeah. And where do you live? Do you live like in a complex or?
Yeah, I live in an apartment complex, not too far from the gym. It's a pretty nice one. So I have really nice windows and I have a little balcony so I can go outside in my actual apartment. You know, obviously I'll like I've gone for a couple of runs and stuff, so it hasn't been too bad. But yeah, it's nice. I don't mind looking at it. Getting tired of looking at it a little bit, but I don't mind it.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I hear you. So we've been I've been doing these talks with people, and people seem to like watching them. So I wanted to ask you, kind of following the same format. Like I've gotten to know you a little bit, but I'm sure there's people at the gym who don't know you very much at all personally.
Yeah.
So if you could just like share your background a little bit, where you're from, what you do, and things like that.
Sure. So I'm originally from Southern California. That's where I moved here from. In let's see, not last December, but the December before that is when I first moved here. And I think I joined you guys around a similar time, probably I think it was like February.
Yeah,
Um,
it was February. Yeah.
yeah, because it was that challenge. But I've lived all over the country, so this is not my first East Coast side of things. I used to live in Massachusetts. I've lived in Wisconsin. I've lived in Washington, so kind of all over the place. But I was living back in California for the last like 3 years before that, and then ended up here. And probably one of the most compelling parts of my journey and why I've been a part of CrossFit was my own fitness journey. And that was that I used to be about 300 pounds. And I I did multiple weight loss challenges in a row to be able to lose about 80 pounds, give or take, depending on what day of the week or what time of the month or what
Right. Sure.
time of the year. So it kind of goes up and down, but I knew I wanted to stay in some form of fitness, and it was a little more challenging finding the same type of thing. So I had always had an interest in CrossFit because I really like lifting weights and being strong. So that's kind of what got me started here, per se. Yeah.
Okay. What do you do for a career?
My career, and that's the reason why I've been moving around all this time as well, is I run water parks for a living, which is a weird thing to do. And it definitely doesn't leave me short for stories. I started off as a lifeguard when I was like 17 and kept moving up, and I was studying other stuff, but I just didn't really have the same interest that I did. So I started moving up in the water park industry, and that's sort of why I ended up moving around. So I work for the Cartwright, which isn't too far away. It's in Monticello, and that's how I ended up here as well. It's a big part of it.
All right, cool. And so you started like just as a teenager, and then like now you're in like that whole like management role of like
Yeah,
organizing workers and stuff there and things like
that's
that.
exactly it. Yeah, I started off as a lifeguard, and it was supposed to be a summer job. My mom was really like annoyed with me because she told me I needed to get a job like right then, and I was like, no problem, gonna get a job. And I was like a swimmer and a water polo player, so I really didn't want a job at that time. So I just went in and got this job that would wait until essentially school was out. So I took this position, and I remember working it and finding out that I really enjoyed helping people. And it was really, but it was still really fun. It wasn't like helping people in the sense that like people think of like lifeguards and you're just sitting there doing nothing, and you're really not, especially in a water park. I mean, I've seen all kinds of emergencies happen.
Sure.
And all kinds of craziness through working that. So I eventually moved up as like a shift lead, and then eventually became a manager. And I figured out this is what I wanted to do as my career, and started applying for positions outside of living with my parents. And that's how I ended up. So my first time moving out was like out of my parents' house was I was going to move from Southern California to Washington. So I moved like 1,200 miles away.
Washington State?
Yeah, Washington State.
Wow, okay.
East Coast, everybody forgets that, like that.
I didn't. I knew. I was just
I have to say
clarifying.
Washington State. If you talk to somebody from Washington, though, it's very upsetting to them that they have to say Washington State, because they feel like they should be more important. But
okay, I mean, I get it. They'll get over it.
Yeah, they'll get over it or not, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't care. I live there now.
Right. So, I know I've been thinking about this and dealing with it, and like, what do you think we have to do this like social isolation or social distancing, I should say. And I'm fully supportive of it. Like, I don't fucking want this. And if I get it, I don't want to fucking give it to anybody else, you know? But that to me adds a whole host of like, emotional issues. You know what I mean? Like
100%.
Right. Like, I'm thinking of you're by yourself.
Yeah.
Like, I can take a half hour, an hour for myself, and then go back and reintegrate into my family, and everything's cool. You can't do that. So like, what strategies, if you've even thought about it, are you going to try to do to maintain like social contact with people?
I totally thought about it. And a big part of it is, I think because of the fact that I've moved so many times. So when I first moved out on my own, it was extremely difficult because I was spending so much time by myself compared to, I'm from a bigger family. Like I have two parents that were separated parents. So whenever I went to somebody else's house, I was surrounded by siblings and then their spouses. So my step parents. And then there's lots of people that were always around. And then I'm from one of the most populated places on the planet. I'm from Southern California. You can't throw a rock without hitting a person. So there's always people around. And when I first moved, I had to figure stuff out. So as far as like what I've been doing so far, I think that right now the most I've really gone without seeing a person has been probably like 4 or 5 days, because I had some work. But I have some strategies, things like scheduling time to actually FaceTime with some friends. And because I'm sort of used to being long distance friends with people, it's not as daunting or intimidating. It's definitely it still has its effects, and I have to watch my moods. I mean, I've talked to you about this. I'm pretty open about, like, I have clinical depression, so I have to like really pay attention to how am I feeling? Is what I'm doing going to positively affect me? Am I doing this because I'm not feeling great? And how can I sort of battle that? Because there's sometimes a little bit of an inner demon in your head telling you, no one cares, no one's paying attention, you're going to bother somebody. I think sort of the nice positive thing that's been going around, and you see it all over social media, is that, we're all in this together and you should be reaching out. And frankly, people are probably grateful that you are reaching out, even if it's just to sit there and talk about nothing, because we're also kind of running out of stories. We have nothing to talk about. I mean, like today I vacuumed.
Yeah, right. It gets boring fast. No, that's an interesting perspective. I never even, I mean, I knew you moved around a lot throughout your life. I mean, you're not very old, so that's quite a lot of moving in a short period of time. And
thanks for the not very old comment.
Yeah, no problem. And I like your perspective on how that is kind of translating into this and helping you kind of not be overly anxious about what's coming in the next few weeks, really.
Yeah.
If not longer. I mean, I hope not, but the reality of it is that most likely will be.
Yeah.
So like, obviously we talked about, we know each other from CrossFit. So fitness is kind of like what I do. And like, I know you're into it. How do you see not being able to get to a gym, like that obstacle? Like, I'm viewing it as an opportunity, as I'm sure you are. Like, I'm doing more body weight stuff. I'm stretching more. I'm doing things to make my body stronger, absent of an external load most of the time. How do you feel you're going to be able to maintain what you've gained, as well as maybe move a little few steps ahead in the game?
I think it's taking me, I'm sort of going like up and down with it. Like this everything kind of hit right when I was on vacation as well. So I was like planning on, like, I'm like, all right, I get to, you know, have a little freedom with this, and that was nice. And then it's like, all right, I'm gonna have to get back on the right track. So I keep kind of going back and forth. Like the physical stuff, I think it's always a motivational thing. It's like, get up, go do the work, go whatever you need to do, whether that be following the workouts that we have on the app, or, you know, finding other things, because it's not like it's the first time I've ever done workouts at home. I have been utilizing the opportunity to run, which I've missed anyway, and it's starting to warm up. So I had planned on running anyway, and now I'm like, all right, well, I guess I need to do this more on the daily, which will, in the long run, it's going to help me on things that I really like to do, which is like Spartan races, and looking at trying to do some long distance running. So if I can get myself outside and just run some, that's going to be, it's kind of gives you a little bit of zen. I think the food is always the hard part, and it's a huge struggle. I go back and forth on it, because my fear is, you know, being furloughed and knowing that you're not going to have a ton of money coming in. Like, I have a lot of vacation time, so I'm okay right now. But the longer this lasts, you know, I have to prepare for that future. So I'm like, well, how do I do this on a budget and not really being able to go into stores either? So I have quite a few hurdles to get over, but also recognizing that they're hurdles, and I'm pretty lucky in that, you know, I could have it a lot worse, and I'm still sheltered. You know, I have food. So it becomes a balance of like, don't use this as an excuse to eat garbage just because it's an opportunity to eat garbage. It's a
Right.
comfort.
Yeah. Yeah, like, no doubt, like, eating high sugary food, it makes me super happy.
Yeah.
That's short lived. You know, that lasts like 5 or 10 minutes maybe, and then you don't feel so great.
Yeah, I feel guilty about
Yeah.
it. Like,
Yeah.
so quickly I feel guilty. So I'm kind of like, all right, we've got to get on the right track, and knowing that now I have nowhere to be. So it's going to be some experimental cooking and see what I can do. Like, I have a ton of seasons. So whatever I need to make taste good, I can do that. And that's kind of like, that's sort of my game plan, is like, all right, we'll use this as an opportunity to make some foods that you've been interested in making, and what can you be creative with? Because I have that opportunity. I like doing that anyway.
Cool. I like that. I like that. That helps me out a little bit. You know,
And I'm still meal prepping, because I don't want to cook 3 meals a day.
yeah, I mean, I always find it hard to like cook one portion of something.
Yeah, I don't.
So I got to cook like 4 or 5. Yeah, it's yeah, I can imagine. All right. Well, are you gonna think about taking part in our Zoom classes that we're doing on the daily?
Yeah, I definitely am looking at that too. I know I got a chance to do one of them, and then like this week was where I actually went into my workplace. It was not the most awesome week, but something I needed to do. And then now that I'm not doing that anymore, I really don't have much of a reason not to. I figured out some stuff. I mean, I made an odd object out of throwing some books in a duffel bag, and
Yeah, cool, right?
it was fun. So far my neighbors haven't complained about me jumping around and doing burpees and stuff. So fingers crossed that they aren't going to get
Yeah,
me.
I mean, even if it's nice, you could go, I don't know if there's like a green space by where you live, but like you could even do it
They're
there.
all like on hills. So I'm looking around. I'm trying to find something, but everything is like on a hill, like literally a grassy hill, and
Yeah.
it's a little awkward. I'm trying to figure it out.
Run the hills, I guess.
Yeah, that's my next option. I think tomorrow I'm going to go on a hike. So just like 2 people.
Yeah, I mean, you can still go with people. You just can't. Here's the thing, right? Like, maybe I'm naive, but I keep my distance from even people I know,
Mhm.
right? But I'm not afraid to see people I know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to live my life holed up, you know, covering my face in a mask and like never interacting with people again.
Yeah, and I do have a mask. Like, I don't have, it's not even a medical mask, but I mean, when I've done races and stuff, I keep a dust mask, and that's kind of what they're recommending right now is
Yeah.
not need the medical, like keep the virus out, but to keep your
Your
potential
droplets in. Yeah,
spread.
no,
Yeah.
that's just responsible, and that's just good sense, you know?
So hopefully I'm not committing like this horrible thing, but I'm also like, well, as it gets more challenging, if it gets more challenging to the point where they're like, don't go even on a hike, then I won't do that. But you know, I
Yeah.
distance. I'm not going out trying to like have parties or anything like that. I'm being socially responsible.
Yeah, I agree. No, that's smart. That's smart. Well,
How are you
uh
doing?
how am I doing, or what am I
Yeah,
doing?
I feel like you're probably repeating this in the videos, but I mean,
No, you're the first
how are you
person who
doing with
asked
the
me.
family?
Thank you. I'm doing well enough. You know, listen, Ben and I took over the gym last year, and we were super excited, and it was kind of an uphill struggle because we got it when it was sort of like not at its, it wasn't running on all cylinders, you know? And we've
Yeah.
put a lot of work into it over the last year. I mean, it's more of an emotional aspect of it. Like, we felt like finally we're at a point where, like, all right, we are gaining momentum. We feel good about what's going on. We're getting better at coaching. We're getting better at communicating with each other and stuff like that. And then to like kind of have this like gate come down was like
Hmm.
jarring, you know, but
Yeah.
I had
Yeah.
to take my own advice, you know, which was obstacles are opportunities. And it was personally an opportunity for me to kind of like keep my anxiety under control, not like go out and buy, you know, like, I don't know, 1,000 rolls of toilet paper or stock up
Yeah.
on like 1,000,000 pounds of dried goods, you know, like all the grocery stores are
Hmm.
stocked. It's okay. There's no, you know, there's no marauders running around trying to like steal my wife and kids. Like everything's good. So once I could kind of get
Yeah.
that, like those nut job kind of ideas in line and put them where they needed to be, then I was able to focus on like what can we do, and me personally, to like help all of you guys and help ourselves at the same time. So that's kind of like why I came up with this. Like, you and me could talk. I've talked with Neil and I talked with Dee Dee the other day.
Yeah.
And it's just nice to connect and share that, like share a little bit about you with everybody.
I might actually kind of steal this with the, I can relate quite a bit on the business aspect, especially. I mean, obviously there's a huge emotional side. I think because you are a leader, you take on the weight of others as well. And I mean, I think that's just part of, it's the nature of, if you're running a business and you're wanting to coach people. And I personally am dealing with that on the sense of, I have a water park and I have a lot of staff, and you know, the challenges aren't over, but I know that a big part of my role with them is coaching them, not just through, hey, come to work every day. It's about being a better person. So
Yeah.
I've been trying to find ways to connect with them. I mean, I made a Facebook group with them, and I don't normally do stuff like that for our type of business because it generally attracts not the right type of behavior. Uh,
Right.
you know, they're between the ages of 16 and like 24, and sometimes they say dumb things, and like, I employ you, you can't say that.
Yeah. No, I understand. No, I mean, and I agree with that sentiment, and I think it's important. You know, I've struggled with that. Like, I've always felt like I would be a better like number two guy. I always felt that way. I felt that way when I was a police officer. Like, I never wanted to be a boss. I just was very happy being like well respected in my squad, and that my
Mhm.
sergeant knew that they could come to me and ask me to do something and it would get done. I was very comfortable with that. This is a different kind of like role that I have taken on, and I'll be honest, at times it's incredibly uncomfortable, but it's become very rewarding as well.
Yeah,
So
I definitely relate to that quite a bit. I mean, taking on this stuff is, it's challenging for sure. You know, you have to take care of yourself, but then you're looking at how can I help take care of others, because that's what I think everybody needs. Everybody needs to be able to take care of each other.
yeah,
And
I think that's
that
a
is
really
hard.
valuable point. Like, and this is what I like to stress in my own family. Like, I'm a big supporter of this idea. Like, this whole idea of like human beings having to be selfless is garbage.
I agree.
you have to be selfish. You have to, in other words, it's kind of like when you're on a plane and they're like, make sure you put your mask on first kind of routine.
Yes.
Yeah, that's so you don't pass out and that somebody doesn't have to
Yeah.
help you then, right? That's the
'Cause
essential.
now you're an obstacle too.
Right, now you're a liability. So like, and this goes back to my, when I was in law enforcement, it was about keeping yourself safe first, so then you can go out and help everybody else who needs it. It's the same
Absolutely.
idea here. And I think if we all take the time for ourselves, whether it's 5 minutes of deep breathing, or it's a longer walk, or it's working out, like a CrossFit style workout, or whatever you need, I feel like for me, the physical aspect of it is super important, and they're like connected, that physicality and that emotional piece.
Yeah.
So I really like that. I totally lost my train of thought, what I was just going to say. That's not, we got to take care of ourselves. Yeah, like we got to fill our buckets. We got to fill our buckets first,
Yeah, like I was thinking about that as well. Like, looking at employment. Employment's obviously a huge part of what we're thinking about, and this is what's causing a lot of that anxiety in the first place,
Yeah.
right? So my friends made fun of me when I was like looking at this, and I started making a ton of contingency plans. This is what I'm going to do if this. This is what I'm going to do if this. This is what I will do if this. And I must face the reality that it could go as far as, this is such a huge industry thing, is working in a hotel, and anybody who works in a hotel right now is probably on the same boat. If they're not working, they are thankful beyond compare to have a job at all. But we're really scared right now. What do we do? How do we get through this? And will we survive? That is ultimately what it comes down to in the hospitality and recreation, is because depending on how hard this hits our financial side determines what happens when we can return. And it might not be, I close down right when we open up. It might be in a year, I still am not making it because people aren't spending the money. And that's a scary thought. But if I can let it blindside me, or I can start figuring out the types of moves that I might need to make if I need to make them. And then knowing that allows me to let go a little bit so that I can start helping others, because I've already gone down this path and I've already started to think about it. So a lot of the people I employ aren't as lucky as me financially. So they're probably much more challenged, and they are already laid off. So what can I do to help them? I may not be able to give them money, because I too am also going to have to worry about that, but I can do other things like give them resources, tell them what they should be doing, how to file for unemployment. Because if you're 20, you probably haven't ever had to do that.
Right.
So how do you do it? Those types of things that I can help be a resource for, or even just listening and saying, hey, it's going to be okay.
Yeah, well, that pretty much embodies, everything we've been talking about. I love that idea, that that idea of service.
Mm-hmm.
Like not being a servant, because I've always had to like clarify this. Like I loved being a cop because I could be of service. I love owning CrossFit New Hampton because I'm of service. I'm certainly not a servant, right? There's a big distinction, right? And I think that there's certain people, I think we all can adopt it, but I think there's certain people that it just comes, for whatever reason, more naturally to.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've never been concerned with personally about like how much money I made. Like when I left the NYPD and got hired in Middletown, I didn't even know what the salary was. I just knew it was better for me and my family because I would be closer to home. Like, and then I figured it out and everything was fine. You know what I mean? Like, so like, I don't know. I'm a big proponent of like happiness and like empathy and kindness is the key to kind of getting through these tough times.
Yeah, I think that's really what we have to do. And I think, as I've been looking at like trying to think of the silver linings, it's a lot of, I think, at least this, at least that. I think people use a lot of that, at least this. And it's okay to complain. It's okay to be upset and annoyed and frustrated. I don't have any issues with that. But I think the challenge that I've had for myself is to not think so much at least, because I think that word already, those words kind of downplay anything that I already have. But also thinking about the new perspective that I think we're all sharing. I'm looking forward to, I've complained a lot about the challenges of working in a really depressed economy and the added, like, straight up attitudes. I've had people try to fight me, and I've had people who are screaming and yelling at me, and all I'm trying to do is help. And the thing that really genuinely warms my heart is thinking about these same individuals, the same group of people that we've been building something together. They trust me, and they have a love for me that didn't used to exist before. And as we built that, we're going through this really challenging time. And this is where those stronger bonds has like that trench warfare type of thing. We're all literally in this together. And I'm so looking forward to being able to see that team again, and seeing all the teams that I'm a part of, whether it be work or something else, is we're going to come back and have a new appreciation for what each person brings to the table. There's things that sometimes we started to get ungrateful for what we had, and now that's all that I want. I joke with my staff, they don't like certain rotations, they don't like certain spots, and now they're like, I'll go to that spot as many times as you want, please sign me up, I'm tired of being in my room.
Yeah.
So it's a fun way of looking at things.
I totally hear you. Like, I coach the 5:30 a.m. every day, and I'm up and I'm ready to go. But believe me, there's some mornings I'm like, oh my God, especially in the winter, like, it is early.
Oh yeah, the winter sucks. It's cold.
I would give anything to wake up on Monday morning at 5 a.m., drive to the gym, and have all you guys there. All 10 or 12 of you there who usually show up, and we do our thing. Like, I really have developed a deeper appreciation for the things that I've been, and I'll use this, I'm not super religious, but I've been blessed with.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have a certain ability to be a good coach. I have the ability to run a CrossFit really well, I think. And I just love it. And I have a good ability to connect with people. Those are things I didn't really openly think about before.
Yeah.
And this, I like the idea of adversity builds strength. And like, I see it with my girls. Like, yeah, like, they complain. And my first response to that was kind of like, no complaining. But that doesn't make any sense, because that's their truth,
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you're absolutely right. Like, this sucks. This sucks in a big way.
Yeah.
And, but we'll get through it.
Yeah, and we're allowed to say it's a huge for me. Yeah, it's allowed to say that it sucks. It super does.
Well, because it does, because it totally blows. Like, yeah, could it be worse? Absolutely, right? Like, I could be a nurse, or have to, and like working 12, 18 hours a day with not the right gear. And like, I'm not. I'm retired from civil service. I have a business that we're still keeping going. I'm connecting with everybody I need to connect with, and I like. It's not really that bad.
Yeah, there's and I think sometimes we get stuck in that, like, oh, it could be worse. And it's like, what, it could be, but that doesn't make this not suck. We can't downplay. That's an emotional tool as well. Like, if you go to therapy, they never tell you, well, you could be worse. So you're like, no, they tell you, well, let's explore why this is hard for you.
Yeah, it's the opposite. It's
Yeah.
Don't compare. Like, don't compare your suffering.
Yes. Yeah, there's no competition here. We're not going to that way.
Well, I would do that all the time. Like, I would minimize what I had been through on the job. Mm-hmm. And when I stopped doing that, that's when I started to get better.
Yeah.
But that took me like 3.5, almost 4 years for it to sink in.
It takes a long time. It's a tool that you have to like.
Yeah. And like,
I struggle with comparison a lot.
Yeah. That's a tough one. You know what? Because we're taught at a very early age to be.
Your mic's doing weird things. I can hear you, but it sounds like you're really far away.
Let me see. I'm closer now.
Oh, there we go. That's what everybody wants. Give the public what they want.
Yeah. So no, comparison of suffering is a big mistake, I think.
Yeah. Okay. So I have a silly question for you. What are you going to do with your hair? Are you going to just let it grow out? Are you going to get it cut?
I don't know. I'm just going to see. I'm going to go total bohemian. I might stop
Perfect.
shaving my armpits too.
Do you shave your armpits?
No, that was a joke. You didn't
Oh.
laugh though.
You know,
I'm trying my best.
it's okay. We're workshopping here.
Yeah, listen, nothing's 100% all the time.
It's hard to tell. There's not as big of an audience. Like I'm a tough one to make laugh. I get it.
Well, no, I get the same reaction when there's 10 people in front of me and no one laughs. So
I'm trying to be nice.
It's fine. I don't know what I'm going to do. It's a little bit, I worked out and I've been doing stuff outside. So it has that outside windswept look.
There we go. I'm practicing I'm not going to really wash my hair and try to get it so that I'm not washing my hair every day. The women will understand. This is something you're not supposed to wash every day. And so I'm like, well, quarantine's a good time. This is a time for it.
Practice it.
Yeah, my nails are going to be a problem. That's going to be a challenge. So I can't wait for those things to grow out.
Okay.
Things that people don't think about.
These are good problems to kind of have to grapple with.
Yeah. I'm sorry with the things that this isn't important, but it will hurt if they break. It's happened before at CrossFit. I snapped a fingernail right in the middle.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So it's not as light as what it seems like. It's not.
I didn't mean to minimize it. I don't have really a frame of reference.
This is really for others so that they know.
That's good. Oh, that was the point of this.
It's a platform to educate.
Yeah, I love it. All right. Well, thank you so much. And it was good talking to you.
Yeah, it was great. Thank you so much. This is my only social interaction of the day, although I will have some more later on today. I think I might have a virtual happy hour with some.
All right, that's cool. Well, don't be a stranger. If you need to talk, hit me up and I'll do the same.
All right. Cool.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And I'll talk to you soon, okay? And if you need anything, seriously, reach out.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.